Morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunday morning here in this live streaming experiment that I'm doing. Hope everyone had a good night. Hope you're having a good Sunday so far, such as it is here in this global pandemic. Thought we'd play some gospel-y songs, some of which I have just sort of learned right before this, as is my wont. I might as well play this one because I was just practicing it before I turned this thing on. Sitting Here in Limbo by Jimmy Cliff. I think of this song, I always think of my first apartment with Jim Clark and Mark Tibaldi. And for some reason this Jimmy Cliff, I think it was his live album, this was on heavy rotation that summer, man. I'll tell you what. Morning, Dan. Sitting here in limbo, like a bird without a song. Sitting here in limbo, I know it won't be long. They're putting up resistance, but I know that my faith will lead me on. I'm sitting here in limbo, waiting for the dice to roll. Sitting here in limbo, I got some time to search my soul. Putting up resistance, but I know that my faith's gonna lead me on. I don't know what life will show me, Lord, I know what I've seen. What is it next? I don't say where life will lead me, but I know where I've been. Tried my hand at love and friendship, all that is past and gone. This little boy is moving on. I'm sitting here in limbo, waiting for the tide to flow. Sitting here in limbo, knowing that I have to go. They're putting up resistance, but I know that my faith gonna lead me on. Well, they're putting up resistance, but I know that my faith gonna lead me on. Hey Jim, Isaac, how y'all doing? I don't know who, if anyone, is watching on YouTube, but at least on my phone I can see that these people are watching. Jim, I was just saying that this, whenever I hear this song, I'm always remembered of that apartment that you and I and Mark shared right after high school. And for some reason this Jimmy Cliff live album was on heavy rotation, or I associate it with that summer. I have a couple funny memories of that, but I will say that I'm just remembering right now one of the meanest things I've ever done to anyone. I don't know if it was, I think you deserved it, Jim. Let me just say that. Is that we were sitting around, and I was on a beanbag chair. We just gotten incredibly stoned, and I had the bong in my hand. And you started messing with me. And I was like, stop, would you stop? And you didn't stop, and so I dumped the bong over your head. Oh, you just got up and screamed, ah, and ran right to the shower. Yeah, it was pretty stinky, but hey, there you go. There's a memory from those days gone by, sitting here in limbo. Oh God. This one I just picked up as I was sitting on the crapper, and and I Googled classic gospel songs, and this one came up. May there be peace in the valley, and of course I didn't know this original one, which is by Red. I can't even remember his last name right now. Hey, Allison. But I know the version of that Elvis did on one of his gospel albums. Well, I'm so tired, so weary, but I must go alone till the Lord comes and calls me. Well, the morning's so bright and the lamp is a light, and the night it is black as the sea. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me, for me. No more sadness, no more sorrow, no more trouble that I see. There will be peace in the valley for me. Well, the bear will be gentle and the wolves will be tame, and the lion lay down with the lamb, and the beast from the wild shall be led by a child. And I'll be changed, Lord, changed from this creature that I am. There will be peace in the valley for me. Peace in the valley for me, I pray. No more sadness, no more sorrow, no more trouble that I see. There will be peace in the valley for me. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me, I pray. No more sadness, no more sorrow, no more trouble that I see. There will be a peace in the valley for me, for me. For me. Hey, Kathy. Welcome. Yes, Allison, a beauty of a day. I would agree. May there be peace in your valley. It's certainly peaceful in this valley, and I count my blessings every day with this global pandemic that I find myself so blessed to be able to safely shelter in place and take care of, my older relatives and people who need help, and that there is, at least right now, relatively peace in the valley. I thought I would play this one. again that I learned off a live Jerry Garcia CD. I want to talk to my sisters and my brothers. Come on and keep the faith. By Charles Johnson. I think it was by Reverend Charles Johnson. Laura, I must say, welcome. I have not learned Peace Train, so I gave it my best shot about 15 minutes before this started. Couldn't pull it off. But this one, I want to say to my sisters and my brothers, come on, keep the faith. When the storm flies and the wind blows, man, go on at a steady pace. When the battle is fought and victory won, we will all shout together, we have overcome. We will talk to the Father and the Son when we make it to the promised land. Let us walk together, my children. We don't ever have to worry. In this world of trouble, you know, you gotta love one another. You gotta take your fellow man by the hand and help him to understand. We will all be together forever and ever when we make it to the promised land. Our Bible reads, "You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flies by day, nor for the pessimist that walketh in the dark, nor for the destruction waiteth in the noontime hour." Walk together, my children. We don't ever have to worry. In this world of trouble, you know, you gotta love one another. You gotta take your fellow man by the hand, gotta help him to understand. We will all be together forever and ever when we make it to the promised land. This world is not our home, we're only passing through. Our trail is way made up, way, way beyond the blue. Let us do the very best that we can while we're traveling through the land. We'll all be together, shaking a hand when we make it to the promised land. Make it to the promised land. When we make it to the promised land. When we make it to the promised land. When we make it to the promised land. We can all be together forever and ever. All be together forever and ever when we make it to the promised land. Gotta walk together, my children. Say you don't ever have to worry. In this world of trouble, Lord, you gotta help one another. You gotta take your sister by the hand and do your best to help her understand. We will all be together forever and ever when we make it to the promised land. All right. My sisters and my brothers, I hope everyone's doing well out there. May there be peace in your valley on this lovely Sunday. I hope if you're able to get outside and enjoy it. Socially distance yourselves, of course. Be safe. Oh yeah, I wanted to play this one. Yeah, this is a good one. Well, Led Zeppelin got paid for it. They just stole it from Blind Willie Dixon, as long as a bunch of other songs. They wrote a bunch of great songs, though, so I'm not going to be too harsh on Led Zeppelin. Lord, they got me through some tough times. Led Zeppelin. But this was written by Blind Willie Dixon. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. If I don't know, my soul get lost, man. No. Well, wait just a second. Let's get this back on track. Nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. If I don't read, my soul get lost. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. My mama taught me how to read. My mama taught me how to read. And if my soul get lost, ain't nobody's fault but mine. I had a Bible in my hand, had a Bible under my arm. So if I'm lost, my soul get lost. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. My mama taught me how to sing, and my daddy taught me how to play. If I don't read, my soul get lost. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. If I die, my soul get lost. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. If I die, my soul get lost. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Ain't that the truth? Blind Willie Dixon. There's one line in here that caught my attention. Oh, yeah. My mother taught me to sing. My daddy taught me how to play. If I don't play and sing all night, it's nobody's fault but mine. I don't know if Blind Willie Dixon sang those verses or not, but I love that song. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Well, I hope everyone out there is having a lovely Sunday morning so far, such as it is. It looks like another lovely day here in the Pioneer Valley of Western Massachusetts, Florence, Mass. I thought I'd play a few more songs and reach back. Ain't nobody's fault but mine. Yeah, my daddy taught me how to cook. I don't know all the verses of that one for sure, but I've always liked that one. I like that. That's I was missing the C, of course. That's why it didn't sound right. I love the way that walks back down to the E. Let me play one more here. I'll have to add it in next time. I like that one. My daddy taught me how to cook. Motherless Child, I love to play this one too. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel just like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from my home. I said a long way from my home. Sometimes I feel like I'm already gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm already gone. Way up in that heavenly land. I said away up, oh Lord, that heavenly land. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. I said, sometimes I feel just like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from my home. A long way, oh Lord. Such a long, long way from home. Hey, how about that? I love that chord transition. I didn't quite remember it right, but the next time it goes. No, it goes, that's the part I didn't remember right. There it is. All right. We look for some inspiration for us here on my shelf of inspiration. How about this one? The Teachings of the Compassionate Buddha, the Buddha. I think I'll read something from just the Dhammapada at the beginning of this. But maybe I should open it to a random page and see what it says. The question, what is gained by abandoning the world and becoming a monk? Yeah, I don't want to read that. Here's an interesting scripture from the Buddhist canon, the rain cloud. No Kasyapa, I don't know who that is, It is like unto a great cloud rising above the world, covering all things everywhere. A gracious cloud full of moisture, lightning flames flash and dazzle, voice of thunder vibrates afar, bringing joy and ease to all. The sun's rays are veiled and the earth is cooled. The cloud lowers and spreads as if it might be caught and gathered. Its rain everywhere equally distributed. Descends on all sides, streaming and pouring unstinted, permeating the land. On mountains, by valleys, in rivers, in hidden recesses, there grow the plants, trees, and herbs, trees both great and small, the shoots of the ripening grain. Grapevine and sugar cane, fertilized are these by the rain, and abundantly enriched. The dry ground is soaked, herbs and trees flourish together from the one water which issued from that cloud. Plants, trees, thickets, forests, according to need, receive moisture. All the various trees, lofty, medium, low, each according to its own size, grows and develops roots, stalks, branches, leaves, blossoms, fruit in their brilliant colors. Wherever the one rain reaches, all become fresh and glossy according as their bodies forms. And natures are great and small. So the enriching rain, though it is all the one and the same, yet makes each one of them flourish in like manner. Also the Buddha appears here in the world, like unto a great cloud, universally covering all things, and having appeared in the world, he, for the sake of the living, discriminates and proclaims the truth in regard to all laws, the great holy word, honored one, among God and men and among the other beings, proclaims abroad this word, I am the Tathagata, the most honored among men. I appear in the world like unto this great cloud, to pour enrichment on all parched living beings, to free them from their misery, to attain the joy of peace, joy of the present world, and joy of nirvana. Gods, men, and everyone, hearken well with your mind. Come you here to me, behold the peerless honored one. I am the world honored, who cannot be equaled. To give rest to every creature I appear in the world, and to the hosts of the living, preach the pure law, sweet as dew, the one and only law of deliverance and nirvana. With one transcendent voice I proclaim this truth, ever taking the great vehicle as my subject. It's a long poem, long verse. We're almost there. Upon all I ever look, everywhere impartially, without distinction of persons, of mind, of love or hate, I have no predilections, nor any limitations. Ever to all beings I preach the law equally. As I preach to one person, so I preach to all. Ever I proclaim the law, engaged in naught else, coming, going, sitting, standing. Never am I weary of pouring it copiously on the world, like the all-enriching rain, on honored and humble, on high and low, law-keepers, law-breakers, those of perfect character, those of imperfect, orthodox, heterodox, quick-witted, dull-witted, equally I rain the law rain unwearingly. Ooh, there's a lot to unpack in that one. Hey, Yvette. There were a couple things that caught my eye as I just love the that sort of poetic metaphor of the law, which is at its core that same law that Jesus came to spread, of love, right? That is the unmutable law. Whenever I get, like I was saying last week, whenever I get dismayed by this current situation that we find ourselves in here, I zoom out, because it helps me to gain that perspective and realize that there is this immutable, right, that we're never changing law of the universe. There were a couple things that struck me about this, and one is, in these old gospel songs, like that one, My Sisters and My Brothers, keep the faith, it's going to be all right because we're going to get to heaven, right? If we just keep doing the right things, we'll get to heaven. This world is shit, but we'll get there to heaven. But one thing that caught my eye here is to free them. I pour enrichment on all parched living beings, to free them from their misery, to attain the joy of peace, joy of the present world and joy of nirvana. And this is what I'm not sure, but I think a lot of people who are agnostic or don't believe in certainly the current Western interpretation of God, find fault with is that it's like, this is all just made up stories. What is this heavenly gates business and all this stuff? But Jesus said the same thing as the Buddha, though. It is right here, right now, in this life that you have to find that peace of heaven within you. And that immutable law, that's what struck me about that one part of this, is that joy of peace, it has to be found, here and now. And it is equally, this law does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're Jewish or you're Catholic or you are quick-witted or dull-witted. If you have perfect character or imperfect character, it's just the law of the universe, right? This is just the way that things work. I'm reminded of this documentary that I watched a little bit of, and I'd like to go back and although it had this totally new age title that kind of turned me off, the Dalai Lama Scientist, I think it was called, and it was about him meeting with all these scientists. He's always been interested in technology and in physics and quantum physics, and one of the physicists that he had been meeting with, he has been meeting with them, a couple times a year, but there's this one big meeting that he brings all these people in that he wants to hear from and learn from, right? And they to sort of have this dialogue with these ancient, Buddhist tradition. And the scientist was saying, well, one of our understandings now of what we think might be happening is not just a big bang. It happens once, like nothingness, and then the universe is created, but that there are some data points that are showing that the universe, collapses in upon itself, and then explodes back out, and collapses in upon itself, and explodes back out once again. And that the way that the next universe is brought about comes from what is happening as the last universe is collapsing. And the Dalai Lama is like, that is exactly what our scriptures say, that you don't only have this karma of your lifetime, that the deeds that you do will propel you forth into your next incarnation, but the entire universe has this karmic energy, so that as the universe is collapsing in the Buddhist cosmology, then the karma of that will create the next. It lines up exactly with what these Western physicists were saying. And I sort of lost my thought going back to that idea of, oh yes, it's that immutable law that is talked about in the scripture and that's talked about in the Bible. I think when Jesus is saying, I am the way, it's like basically, yes, this is the way you get into heaven, right? Right? Not, follow me or everyone else goes to hell. No, that is a man-made, that is a human, thought. This is the law. This is how it works, right? In terms of your life, but also this karma, affects your next moment. When you reach out to someone and you help them, that law of the universe comes and supports you in everything that you do. And when you, act from a place of, jealousy or hatred or fear, that karmic, that is also, those karmic forces are also working along that path. So that was one, don't be a dick, right, Laura? Yeah, just play nice with others. It's pretty simple, and yet it is so freaking difficult, especially in these times. But what gives me faith, or what I understand when I sort of zoom out again, is that yes, the wheel of Dharma is turning, right? The law is the law, and no matter what happens with this global pandemic we find ourselves in right now, no matter what happens with any of these things, successes and failures that you might have as a person, and tragedies that we all experience and joys, all of this is contained within this immutable law of, at its core, love, right? I guess the last thing that struck me about this again is how it reminds me of this story that when at these Vipassana retreats, they're all taught by audio tape, and at night there's a video Dharma talk, and the story of how this tradition came back to India from Burma, where it was kept, lines up with this ancient story, this story that someday the teachings will die out, but they'll be kept in the Golden Land, which was Myanmar, and then after 2,000 years, they will come back out and they will spread across the earth, and there will be a time of peace again. To look further, then again we go into darkness, and then we come out into the light. We go into darkness, we come out into the light again. But so the person who brought this Vipassana tradition to the West, he was a Hindu in Burma, and he was a businessman. And he, was on a lot of, as being a successful businessman, he was on a lot of committees and figureheads of various religious organizations or whatever. And he suffered greatly from migraines. And he went all over the world because he could travel. He was wealthy, and went to Germany for treatments, and the doctors couldn't help him in Burma. They were giving him opiates, but they were like, you're gonna, we'll just have to give you stronger and stronger doses of this. You'll become addicted to this. We've got to find a way to cure this. And so somebody said, well, why don't you go to one of these, Vipassana meditation courses? It's supposed to help with all this stuff, It was a practitioner. He said, I don't believe in any of that stuff. Plus, I'm a Hindu, And the Hindus, we have hundreds and hundreds of gods. We don't look kindly on the Buddhists. They don't have any god, right? But he was like, all right, I'll try it. And the first night he was there, people were talking, and they said, I saw these holy lights, I heard these holy sounds, and he was like, I didn't hear any of this, It's a bunch of junk, right? And he was leaving, and someone came running after him and was like, no, please stay. You're very, like, you have a natural aptitude for this. And his name was Goenka, and he said, Goenka, you got to come back and try it. Just stay for 10 days. Just try, give it an honest try. And he went back, and he was like, of course, as soon as I sit down to meditate, I'm seeing all those. Oh, Allison, I'm sorry right now. I'm seeing all the holy lights and hearing all the holy sounds and all. And he went through the 10-day course, and to make a long story somewhat shorter, he becomes a leading practitioner of this practice, and his mother was dying in India, and he said, he asked, can I go and give my mother this teaching before she passes, or she was having a really big sickness and she might die. And the Burmese government, even though it was after the coup, they weren't letting anyone have a passport or leave. They gave him, 30-day passport to leave India and go give these teachings to his mother. And so he goes and he gives the teachings to his mother, and while he's there, other people heard of this, and they're like, oh, please, 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 teach me. There was just this great thirst for another course. Oh, okay. And so he taught another 2 or 3 people, and they went out and were like, oh, you must learn this technique. And so he taught another people. He extended his visa to go on. It spread and spread from there. Now there's Vipassana centers across the globe. And he said, I always thought it was just like, this bunch of hooey. Why 2,000 years, and then, the Dharma will spread again. It seems so ridiculous. Why not 1,950 years? Or why not 2,005 years? It just seems so, I didn't give it any mind or whatever. But the day that I brought the teachings to India and gave my mother the first course was the 2,000-year mark or anniversary of it. And he said, the bell of Dharma has struck. The wheel is turned, and you can't stop it, right? And that is where my faith helps me in these troubled times. Is to know that, to honestly believe that, yes, the wheel has struck. We will come out of this darkness, like in that song I sang. Is it Peace in the Valley? There will be peace in the valley for me. The wolves will be tame, and the bear will be gentle, and the lion shall lay down with the lamb. So, yeah, that was a bit rambling, but I always find good inspiration from the teachings of the compassionate Buddha. And may whatever this is bring joy and peace to you, to all beings. That's the key. It's like when I am done meditating, I do what's called a metta meditation, and that is taking that stillness that I've found, and it's sort of like praying, and you're not following your breath, you're not following sensations anymore. You take a little break and stretch, and then you take that love and you spread it out to all beings. May all beings be happy, right? May all beings share my happiness, share my peace. None are my enemy, all are my friend. May all beings. So that's the truth. Amen. Let me try this one again. I am tired and so weary, but I must go alone till the Lord comes and calls me. Oh yes, well the morning is bright, the lamp is alight, and the night is as black as the sea. Oh yes, there will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. I pray. No more sadness, no more sorrow, no more trouble that I see. There will be peace in the valley for me. Well, the bear will be gentle, and the wolves will be tame, and the lion lay down with the lamb, oh yes, and the beasts from the wild shall be lit by a child, and I'll be changed from this creature that you see. Oh yes, there will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. I pray. No more sadness, no more sorrow, no more trouble that I see. There will be peace in the valley for me. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. I pray. No more sadness, no more sorrow, no more trouble that I see. There will be peace in the valley for me. For me. I have not read the Sophie poet. Hafiz. I've got to put it on my list. Although, as I said last night, it seems like the only thing I have actually been reading other than memes online in the last few years is rock and roll autobiographies. Hafiz. I will look him up. May there be peace in your valley today, my friends. And I hope that you will take whatever joy and comfort that you can find here or elsewhere, and don't keep it hid under a bushel. Spread it out. That's what we all need. And the light will come back after we go through this dark period. I honestly believe that. Okay, may you all have a fabulous day and a good week. All right, peace.